It's time now on KROS for Financial Focus, brought to you by NelsonCorp Wealth Management. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any indices mentioned are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated. A registered investment advisor, Cambridge and NelsonCorp Wealth Management are not affiliated. Cambridge does not offer tax advice. Now here's today's Financial Focus program.
Well, Dave Nelson in studio with us, and I'm sure you were in Iowa City on Sunday.
Yes, didn't want to miss that. Fortunate enough to, as far as to have some tickets, and what an exciting game. Watching the women, Iowa women basketball team, it's exciting times. You know, seeing Caitlin Clark break another record. Pistol Pete Maravich, for those that don't know, she surpassed his record. And
I didn't know they called her Ponytail Pete.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Kind of an interesting little handle put on her. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's just, you know, watching this gal play basketball, and again, being a basketball kook that I am, just love the game, and watching somebody with the skill that she has. It's just not scoring. I mean, she's got all the tools. She rebounds. She certainly is an assist. You know, just magician as far as with the ball in her hand, and it's just fun. And again, not coaching this year has allowed us to be able to go to the games and what have you. And not that, don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that in a negative way. I really enjoyed coaching, so nobody twisted my arm as far as to coach. But being out of it now for a couple of years and heading out and watching the Iowa women play, it's just been really, really exciting. The atmosphere out there, we did something kind of, and I won't belabor this point too much, but so I have 5 kids. And my wife and I went out there with all 5. This was the first time ever. We're thinking in 14 years that it was just the 7 of us that spent time together. There was no spouses and there was no grandkids, and it was just our kids and my wife and myself. So that was cool. You know, people said, you know, you had such a great game to watch. I said, as much fun as the game was, just riding in the car like the old days, as far as with the kids.
Did you get the station wagon?
Yeah, exactly.
Wood paneling on the side.
Exactly. Yes, old school, good stuff. Yes, exactly. So yeah, it was fantastic. So we had a great time, loaded up, and went out there, and it was just fun to watch. And you know, and everybody that watched the game, they realized how exciting it was, and getting Ohio State back was really, really important. So they did a nice job.
We were able to, of course, carry the games and have carried a lot of the Iowa women games, and we'll have them as they go up to the Big Ten Conference tournament. But we had the Senior Day recognition afterwards, and interestingly, it was emceed by Holly Rowe of ESPN.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Yes,
Or
yes.
did you? I would imagine you stuck around for that.
We did, yes. That was just, you know, we're hoping to get an update for those that don't know. One of the Iowa Hawkeye players went down, and so she came out in a wheelchair as far as to get her recognition, what have you. And so we wanted to see as far as how she was doing. I guess there's been a report that she's not done for the year. I don't know if she'll be back as far as for the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, we had Lisa Bluter on her Hawk Talk Monday night, said did not tear the ACL. Definitely going to be out of the Big Ten Conference tournament, but possibility she might be back for the NCAA tournament.
Wow, that'd be fantastic.
That would be great, yeah.
Thanks, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, just terrific. Again, environment, terrific, you know, as far as to be there, as far as for that recognition, as far as the ceremony that they had, and the place went nuts as far as for all the players. I mean, Kate Martin, Gabby, who's come around as far as she's one of our little shooters that sits in the corner and tries to knock down threes and does a really nice job. So, yeah, it was fantastic. We had a great time.
Again, visiting with Dave Nelson, of course, money is your thing.
Sure.
Talk about the impact that Caitlin Clark has made on the University of Iowa women's athletic program, because I would imagine the basketball program is giving a lot of money to some of the other women's sports.
Yes. So through the years, as many people probably know, football is kind of carried as far as a lot of universities, as far as from a financial perspective. Right. Golf, what does that generate as far as, revenue is concerned, and track and many other sports. And I'm not putting them down by saying that. It's a reality as far as that they don't. So the football program, years ago, I got data. So this is probably now 6-8 years ago. But it was like a $90 million surplus from football as far as what came in the door, what went out the door for that sport. So, again, that went around to a lot of the programs as far as to support them. Now, the women's program, holy cow. Go out there, just look at, if you're inside, you see as far as people have no regards for the money that they're spending. Buying ice cream cones for, $6 or something. I mean, it's just this, and it's not even the good old-fashioned hard stuff. It's the stuff they pump a whole bunch of air into, literally. So the Carver cone, as it's called, and water, bottle of water, $6-8. I don't even know. It's just craziness. But and then the T-shirts and all that fun stuff. People can kind of probably visualize that. But yeah, it's we're hoping it continues. As far as it, once Clark goes to the WNBA, as probably everybody's aware by now, it's been all over the news. We'll see as far as can they sustain this and keep it going. But the revenue's coming from every direction. If you look at it as far as the sponsorships that they have out there. A lot of money coming in the front door, and a fair amount of it's going to be going out the back door. And for those that don't know, we're going to be playing USC, as far as this is the Big Ten is now welcoming the USC, UCLA, and Washington, I believe, if I'm correct on that. And so there's going to be a lot of airfares that are going to be place, and a lot of money on that.
You can go from coast to coast.
Coast to coast,
in
Big
the Big Ten. Rutgers.
Exactly.
All the way over to California.
Yeah, it's just wild. And again, the expense. You look at it, again, for the basketball team that's generating some money, maybe not that big a deal, but now you're sending your golf team, your swim team, whatever, as far as from here to the coast. I think we'll be pretty lucky. I can't imagine Rutgers when they play USC. Just think about, what are we going, 2 days ahead of time now? Yeah. Maybe, probably have to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's money related, as everybody knows. And these schools coming into the Big Ten, I forget the amount, but I think they each got $100 million as far as to join the Big Ten. That's what kind of money's in play with the the TV rights and all that good stuff. So anyway, it's just kind of crazy.
Just before we take a break for the weather, of course, this is all being driven by TV and football primarily. Yes. In your line of work, is there someone or something that really kind of drives the market?
Yeah. So probably the biggest thing, as far as if there was one thing that you had to bring it down to, it would be basically the Federal Reserve, as far as what they're doing. That would be probably number one. Number two is just looking at what's the market doing. We talk about, there's all kinds of sayings in this industry, but you stay with the trend, and the trend clearly right now is still up. Even though the last few days have been kind of rough. Today, I think we've been recovering, but the Federal Reserve, all eyes continue to be on the Fed, and what's the Fed going to do? Are we raising rates? Are we cutting rates? What are we going to do? And a lot of decisions being made based on that. Right or wrong, they're being based on that, as far as a lot of people out there. One of my segments that I've done recently, as far as, and we have this on our web page, basically centers around the perception versus reality, as far as what takes place. And so many times people are making decisions based on something that unfortunately really doesn't matter. So stay focused, as we tell people, have a plan, be disciplined, stay with that plan.
First Wednesday of the month, so we'll continue on to the bottom of the hour. Our weather update brought to you by Frary Lumber.
Our Wednesday will be starting off on a cloudy note, but I am expecting some sunshine to return at times today, and that means a warmer day. We'll have temperatures into the mid and upper 50s this afternoon with a light east breeze. Tonight, cloudy skies will drop to the mid-30s, and for Thursday, more clouds, highs in the upper 50s. With your Storm Track 8 forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Right now we do have sunshine. Current temperature 41 degrees. Our update brought to you by Prairie Lumber.
When designing your kitchen, you want options. And with Birch Cabinetry from Prairie Lumber in Fulton, you can choose from a multitude of customizable options and features like pantry pullouts, integrated spice racks, Lazy Susans, wine rack cabinet inserts, and pullouts to hide discarded items from sight. Lead times have been minimized and new and updated door samples and drawer fronts have arrived. Visit the showroom and discover the wide variety of Birch kitchen cabinetry and accessories available for your new kitchen at Prairie Lumber in Fulton.
Going to continue now to the bottom of the hour with Dave Nelson. You mentioned things primarily up for the market. It's been a couple of rough days. Take a look. How is it looking so far?
Yeah, I mean, depending on, again, what people look at as far as kind of their proxy for being able to compare, if you look at the NASDAQ, which is getting more attention these days than pretty much anything else as far as like the Dow or the S&P 500. So the NASDAQ, again, year to date, it varies from day to day. Yesterday was kind of a rough day, but you're somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 5%. Already. We're in March and we're 4 to 5% to the good. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to continue and hold on to that, but it's a really nice start. The S&P has been the best performer. That's up maybe 1% higher than that as far as year to date. And then the Dow's been the lagger as far as you're probably talking 3, 4 as far as theirs. So it's been a good start. What's interesting, and again, I can bore people with all kinds of stats and statistics and whatever, but at the end of the day, I think what happens after we've had a run like we've had, and I'm not just talking about the beginning of this year, I'm talking about the tail end of last year too. I mean, the market is up 10, 15%, again, depending on what index you look at, in a very short period of time. And so when people see that, oftentimes the instincts are to say, is this going to continue and should I take some money and run? And ironically, when the market hits all-time highs, it generally hits other all-time highs, as stupid as that sounds. It's the momentum as far as what comes into the market. And when you look at momentum stocks, and those would be probably the big household names that people are probably fairly familiar with as far as your Microsofts and entities like that. They've run really, really hard, and they've run hard for quite some time. Again, people want to know, is it done? This AI, artificial intelligence, is this the real deal, and will this continue? And again, nobody knows for sure, so I got to get all my disclaimers in here as far as that we don't know. We really don't. But the reality is it's already impacting you and I every single day, and it's going to continue to. And so I don't really see an end to that for quite some time. It's kind of like the internet when it started. There's a lot of skepticism as far as around that. But we all know that without the internet today, our lives would be a lot different. The one that I still can't get my arms around is these cryptocurrencies, and I got to talk again generically about this, is that they've just gone from literally nowhere to this massive amount in several month period of time. It's crazy as far as what's taking place there. Again, momentum is a really powerful thing, and if you get enough people believing in something, and I don't want to be left behind, so I better invest today, and you have a whole bunch of people thinking that way, the bottom line is you can get some of these gargantuan moves. Again, I'd like to talk more specifically about it, but the regulating bodies don't allow it to. So again, generically, a lot of the cryptocurrency stuff, I'm not as well informed. What I do know is that what's happening now can't continue, and the bottom line is that people need to be prepared. I don't know how long it'll last, but at some point there's going to be a drawdown, and we've gone from nothing to a whole big number in a very short period of time.
I know you look good in stripes. But
yeah, I don't want those type of stripes on.
You don't want those kind of stripes.
Yes.
Just before the weather break, we were talking about the Federal Reserve. Let's take a look in the rearview mirror just a little bit, because they were controlling, they wanted to control recession. Didn't really look like we went into a recession, though.
So it depends on how you define a recession. So many people that we listen to have said we've been in a rolling recession. So it's hit different sectors at different points in time. And so it's been there, but it hasn't been, again, just across the board in its entirety as far as taking the entire market as far as a down with it. But reality is the Fed came in, for those that remember, We came out of COVID, and then once we're out of COVID, now people are spending money like, crazy as far as wanting to buy this, that, and everything under the sun. And so it put a lot of pressure on the system as far as to be able to have that in furniture, appliances, et cetera, et cetera. And so we couldn't basically have a big enough supply of this stuff, so the prices kept going up, up, up. And then what started happening is the Fed saw this happening and said, we need to slow this down. And the perceived, and again, I don't want to say that it's the perfect solution, but I think it's the best solution that they were able to come up with, is that you increase interest rates to put more pressure on people as far as spending. So if they want to spend money and borrow, instead of paying yesterday maybe 3%, today they're going to pay 5%, 8%, 10%, whatever the case may be. So they're not as apt to spend and want that stuff. So again, in theory, it slows the economy down. Well, no longer is it theory, it's worked as far as slowing things down, slowing it down pretty dramatically. From inflation running 8-10%, down to probably in the neighborhood of 3%, depending on who you listen to. It's come down pretty quickly. And again, the Fed increased interest rates quite dramatically in a very short period of time as well. So it worked. Now the question is, can we get to the level that they want? The level they want is a 2% inflation rate. And again, inflation isn't just measured with one tool that most people think it is, the consumer price index. There's several different indexes that they look at. So point being, we're getting closer, and it's been really good in that regard as far as trying to slow down the economy, get prices under control. But now the talk is that the gouging that's taken place as far as many of the big corporations, as far as increasing the pricing, just out of basically greed, we're going to start being more aggressive with them as far as the politicians are talking about doing that, again, to try to get prices down. Is this a political stunt? I don't know. It's way over my head as far as my pay grade. But the reality is there's been a fair amount of that, and it's probably a pretty good idea. Will it work? Don't really know. But the bottom line is at least talking about it, I think, makes sense in itself.
Again, visiting with Dave Nelson of NelsonCorp Wealth Management. It is obviously a political year.
Yes.
Don't want to get too political, but
Yep.
It seems like the economy is going to be a big talking point among Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
It is. You've got the border that supposedly, if you listen to the experts that say that's front and center. Next is the economy's stupid. Can we keep this economy moving? And again, what's interesting is perception versus reality. I had somebody in yesterday that we were chatting with, and this thing is a mess. What's happening out there. I said the economy hasn't been this good in 25 years. And so, again, it's perception versus reality. Well, what do you mean by that? I said, look at the unemployment rate right now. The unemployment rate is basically non-existent as far as what's happening there. You look at as far as the ability for people to be able to buy and to be able to, it's being manufactured, that I can get. I mean, the economy is chugging along at a rate that we haven't seen in 25 years. So again, it's perception versus reality. Now, having said all that, now you have to go to the other side and say, yes, but look at the prices of stuff today. That's true. Grocery costs have gone up more than inflation has gone up. Now, the question is, why has that taken place? And are we going to get aggressive with these people meaning corporations and the CEOs of these corporations, to try to, again, get them to recognize as far as the greed factor? Now, having said that, I think most people like as far as looking at their account balances today, as far as their 401ks, et cetera, et cetera. So as those prices went up, the corporations are making more money. As they make more money, the price of their stock goes up. That stock happens to be in your mutual fund that's in your 401k. So net, again, are people, I'll put it this way, people that have some money and have some investments, they haven't suffered nearly like those individuals that haven't, because they had the buffer of their investments going up as prices went up. Those that don't have those investments, they've been hit alongside the head, and they've been hit pretty hard. And so you feel for those individuals, and that's, again, where I think the politicians can use some influence as far as to try to see what they can do as far as to try to get these prices under control.
Of course, it is tax time. I get to work at about 4:45, and I can look down at your parking lot, and there's always one car down there.
Yes.
I know who it is.
Mike's there pretty early.
Mike is there early.
Yes.
I asked him one time, I go, I get here about 4:45, and I see your car there. What time do you get there?
Yes.
It's around 4:30, so he doesn't beat me by a whole heck of a lot. But how are things looking on that front?
Yeah, we're making good headway. I mean, we're way ahead of where we were last year as far as the numbers are up, as far as the number of tax returns that we've done so far, and a lot of new faces as far as showing up. I think people are starting to recognize the fact, and we've been, I guess, beating this drum in a pretty significant way as far as the idea of how often does your investment people get together with your accounting people, and why is that important? Well, as I explained to clients, said every decision we make with your investments, either today or tomorrow, is going to be impacted on your tax return. In other words, if we say, hey, let's put some money into a deductible IRA if they were eligible for that, this is going to show up in your tax return today. You're going to see your taxes go down today, okay? So do we need to discuss that as far as with your accounting people as far as in that regard? Or no, we're going to do the Roth IRA, and that isn't deductible today, but it's going to come out to you as far as down the road. Which one makes more sense? Should I be putting more in my 401k, et cetera, et cetera? All of these come back to your tax return at some point. So getting people to recognize that and understand that now basically, as we put it, necessitates the importance of having that stuff coordinated. We've worked really, really hard as far as to try to bring this stuff in-house. There's a lot of rules and regulations as far as having accounting along with investment people, and we've been able to work through those details to be able to have it in-house. And so having all that in-house, essentially we've had a ton of crossover as far as clients that work on the accounting side that work with us and vice versa. And it's making a difference because we do a lot of what we call tax planning, and the tax planning takes place in September, October, versus what most people do, and that is tax preparation. They round up all their stuff at the end of the year, they hand it off to the accountant, and the accountant tells them how much they owe. And so rather than doing that, what are some proactive things that we can do in advance as far as to try to minimize that tax liability that people have to endure? So it's made a big difference, and it'll continue. We've added a few other areas as well, as far as some estate planning type discussions we're having with people, in addition to the Medicare type discussions, all of which come back to the tax return is kind of the middle of all of this. That's the sun in the universe, and individuals need to coordinate all this other stuff, and that's what we're attempting to do as far as these days compared to, again, 5-10 years ago. So it's new. To my knowledge, nobody else, as far as in a 100-mile radius, is trying to pull this off. I think we've done it, and again, it's been a real benefit to a lot of our clients.
Yeah, I mean, what a great move on your part to do something like this. I mean, before on the program at this time, you would always have Jackie who would come in and do the program with you, but now everything's in-house.
Yes. Makes a big difference. Clients love it because when they come in to do their taxes, we're typically lining up a meeting as far as either before or after that we're meeting with them on the wealth management side. So we've got this coordination as far as what should we be doing. We've chatted as far as with the joint clients in September, October, as far as to put together a roadmap for those individuals. So yeah, it's added a tremendous amount of value. And as we tell clients, and I guess I'll wrap it up, I know we're about out of time here, but as we tell our clients all the time, there's more value to doing that tax planning than focusing on the rate of return. The rate of return is nice, don't get me wrong, and we're certainly going to fight there, but there's going to be more value that your financial people can add as far as basically focusing on that income tax return. It makes a big, big difference.
Great to have you and appreciate it.
Thank you,
this
Gary.
day.
Yes, you betcha. Thank you.
Financial Focus is a production of NelsonCorp Wealth Management in Clinton and Davenport. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any indices mentioned are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and NelsonCorp Wealth Management are not affiliated. Cambridge does not offer tax advice. For more information, visit our website at www.nelsoncorp.com.
You're listening to AM 1340 KROS, Clinton.